Hakuho listeners, let's learn sumo. I'm Clayton, welcome to the podcast. Well, Bunske is out this week. We are approaching the March tournament, but it wouldn't be February without a scandal in sumo. It's clear that all is not well with the powerhouse Isagahama stable, particularly with the former Myagino Stable members who were forced to merge with Isagahama Stable after the Hokuseiho bullying scandal, which still rattles on some 2 years later. So a bit of a roundup if you weren't here a while ago. 2 years ago, top division wrestler Hokuseiho was accused of bullying his fellow members in the Myagino stable. Now this included violence, theft, using of weapons, some similar things against his junior stablemates. Now it was that serious that Hokuseiho was forced to retire from the sport, and his Oyakata coach at the time, the legendary Yokozuna Hakuho, was demoted by the JSA for not applying his supervision to his members. Now also, the Myagino stable was temporarily closed and all of the wrestlers were moved to Isagahama stable under the Oyakata Isagahama, formerly Asahi Fuji. Now this included Enho, Hakuho and even Kusano at that time. And things were not good for these wrestlers as they were forced into a bit of a side basement area to live, and a series of resignations and retirements resulted in the following months with wrestlers from Myagino stable. Now, in mid-2025, Hakuho, who had been actively, positively coaching at Isagahama stable with his charges, he'd been hoping that after a year of penance and a good activity, he would be able to restart his Myagino stable and take back his wrestlers. Now, unfortunately, at that time he received no such undertaking and got a bit of a rebuff, and as a result he decided to resign from the JSA last year, and he's focusing on amateur sumo. Now, Isagahama Oyakata retired at the mandatory age of 65 back in June and took on the old Myagino stable name in a consultancy name only. Now, Terunofuji took over the Isagahama stable as Oyakata, keeping all of the Myagino wrestlers. Now, in a surprise announcement just prior to the January Basho, Hakuho, formerly a Hakuho protege from Myagino stable, Kusano, now Yoshinofuji, and a series of rikishi at Isagahama changed their ring names to the Fuji suffix. So Hakuho became Hakunofuji. Yoshinofuji had already changed his name but joined the Fuji suffix. Now, funnily enough, Enho, formerly of Miagino, now at Isagahama, kept his shikona Enho. A media report emerged after the January Basho that Hakunofuji had actually been threatened with either a 1-year suspension or even a forced retirement if he refused to change his shikona from Hakuoho to Hakunofuji. And it seems Enho was also threatened with this sanction. In Enho's situation, it was reported that he returned with a lawyer and effectively told the Oyakata to back off, and he kept his shikona as Enho. Now, it's important to know that Enho is one tournament win away from returning to Juryo, or the Sekitori ranks. A return for one basho to the Sekitori ranks would enable Enho to earn elder stock and be eligible to take on an Oyakata stable. Also interesting is that Hakuho publicly said in January that after the name changes, it would be temporary until his old stable reopened. Well, now the proverbial has hit the fan at Isagahama stable. It's been reported that Isagahama Oyakata, former Yokozuna Terunofuji, has had to report himself to the JSA for using violence against Hakunofuji recently, and it's clear that he is now in the spotlight. As a result, Terunofuji was not in Osaka this week and was actually seen at the Kokugikan in Tokyo answering a disciplinary investigation with a few of his wrestlers. So where will this go? The range of sanctions against Terunofuji are many and quite serious and include ultimately forced retirement, demotion in Oyakata rank, or even similar to Hakuoho's situation, a suspension of the stable or someone taking it over for a while. Whatever the situation, it's clear that the Myagino stable merger with Isagahama is not going well, it's not complete, and carries a long history of bad blood from the Myagino stable wrestlers towards Isagahama, and they've been fairly public about it of late. The JSA is pretty much at fault here through their own bloody mindedness towards Hakuho. A simple plan of reopening Myagino would have given Hakuho and his wrestlers a little bit of hope, but they chose to not allow that to occur. Now, it didn't suit the JSA to do that, and now they've got an ugly, festering sore that will not heal. Perhaps after March, if Enho makes Sekitori rank, he will then retire and take on the Myagino stable name and reopen the stable, perhaps with a consultant, maybe Hakuho. Either way, Terunofuji's in deep trouble, and the JSA need to apply, or at least be seen to apply, discipline in a fair and sensible manner. So that's the story at the moment. Let's wait and see how that falls out. Waiting for the sumo in March, everyone. Hakioi, let's learn sumo.